Hello, this is Gray Hughes. Today I'm doing a video on a cold case out of Evansdale, Iowa regarding Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook. Elizabeth was only 8 years old, 4'1" and 65 pounds, so she was really tiny. Lyric was 10 years old, 4'11" and 145 pounds. They went missing on July 13th, 2012, and their bodies were tragically discovered on December 5th, 2012. Now, I became aware of this case around February 2017 when many people in the Delphi case of Abby and Libby were making comparisons. And now, after looking at this, I can see why they saw these comparisons and similarities. So let's take a look at the witnesses of that day they went missing, which was July 13th, 2012. There were people that saw them riding their bikes around. I'm looking at a website right now called iowacoldcases.org, and they did a really good summation of this entire case throughout the years. But today's video is really just going to be looking at the locations, and then maybe we can do a deeper dive into some theories at some point that people have. But I think it's always good to sort of get a good visual of what happened and that day perhaps, and then where they were found, and then look into they actually have in this article a profile of the killer, which I have highlighted right there, but we'll go over that in a little bit. The girls were seen at about 12:23 p.m. July 13th on Brovin Boulevard. So if we open up Google Earth right here, and we go to Brovin Boulevard right there, this is where I originally had it marked, but I did find that Elizabeth's mom lived right here, so I'm pretty sure they just know exactly when they left the house and they were on the street riding their bikes. Now let's go back to the article, get the next witness. And spotted between 12:30 and 1 p.m. on Gilbert Drive, not far from Myers Lake. So we're getting closer to the lake, which is right here. And they were seen on Gilbert Drive. So perhaps, they came down this way. If you were looking up here, they're biking. Who knows how they got down here? Maybe they came this way. But they were seen on Gilbert Drive, which is north of the lake. And let's take a look at that article again. What happened is around 2 o'clock, the mother got worried and they started looking for them. And then around 2:45, they called law enforcement to get them out to help. But right here it says their bikes and Elizabeth's purse were later found on a trail on the southeast corner of Myers Lake about 4 p.m. Now take a look at this. This is the southeast corner of the lake right there. And there's a trail right there. So their bikes were found, and I guess they weren't just thrown into the bushes. They seemed to be neatly put down. However, they found a purse on the other side of a fence right next to where the bikes were found. Now, luckily, we do have Google Earth right here, so we can put that right there and then take a look, and lo and behold, there you go. There's a fence right next to the path. It actually goes on both sides of the path. You can see it, the top rail there and there. So there's a path, the bikes were found there, and then the purse was on the other side of the fence, so maybe in this area right in here. So let's go back to the article. The girls' grandmother, Wilma, told the press she saw the girls riding their bikes near downtown Evansdale about 12:15 p.m. July 13th. I don't know exactly where that is, so I can't really point that out. On Wednesday, December 5th, 2012, hunters came across 2 deceased bodies in the Seven Bridges Wildlife Park near Redland in Bremer County. Now, this is where I actually was able to determine on Google Earth exactly where the bodies were found. So I'm going to zoom out and go all the way over to where they were found. They were found right here, 25 miles away. Now, reading through some documents, I was able to find this road right here. The name's not popping up on the screen. Looks like 270th Street. I was able to locate that. And if you look at some of these images I found online, they appear to be taken by drones at the time. Although I'm not sure 2012 how big drones were. So let's just say aerial footage. So notice right here you have this road, and then it curves, and then this one's relatively straight. And then you see there'll be a man standing in the actual drone footage. You see that right there? There's a man standing there. It curves like that, and this one really turns. So I go back to Google Earth, and if you had a different angle, you'd see that curves a little bit more too. But right there, so that man was standing about right there. And that's all I had at the time. I had some general maps on Google where people put pointers around, but I had no idea if they were valid or not. It turns out they weren't correct. Now, the next image that I used, this actually shows the location on the ground where the bodies were found with white tarps over them, maybe sheets. And then there's 3 law enforcement officials standing right there. So I could see where the bodies were, but not from a distance. So then I saw this photo right here. And in this one, you can see the white sheets back there, and then this parking area right here. So this image started to help out a little bit. And what really helped me find the location was this image right here, because you can see the 2 bodies right there, or I guess white sheets on the ground. And you'll notice right here in a second, I actually went through Google Earth and had to find, I was looking all around on these different curves. There were some good candidates at some point. Maybe I was over here at times. You see how that kind of curves like this, and I was thinking maybe it was over here, because that looks pretty good, right? See how that curves, goes like that, but that wasn't right. And then eventually I did find it. It was right here. And I set it up on Google Earth so the image will look the same. Here we go. So you see the curve in the stream right here. Right there, that's that same bank right there. Then it curves this way, and then this is a snow-covered version of this bank right there, or shoreline. And then you can see right there, the river continues off this way and a little bit that way, and you see that right here. And then look up here, you got the curve, and then it goes like this and then sort of straight off, and that's exactly what this does. And I was also able to place that parking area too. You see the yellow crime scene tape right there? So this is where the law enforcement vehicles were starting to park, and then they would walk this direction because it's near the crime scene. And that parking area is right here. This is just snow covered right here, but you can see that entrance point right there off that Highway 270, or it's 270th Street actually. Goes like this, and then you would turn into there and park, and then you'd walk to where the bodies were located. Something I thought was mildly interesting is this photo right here was taken 3/10/2015, and you see these footprints right here. Is it possible that the killer went back at some point to remember what he had left there? Because apparently law enforcement is saying, I heard on one news broadcast and read in another article, that law enforcement believes the bodies were put here, but they weren't killed in this location. Alright, and let me load up this one right here. And so this shows you as well. You see how there's the parking area, then the crime scene tape actually goes all around like this, and you can see the two white sheets right there. And another thing was that I used to compare the area. I'm sure you're already sick of me showing you every single thing of how. But the parking spot I wasn't sure because it was snow covered. But if you look at this image right here, you see the stony edge of the water right there. And you get the same thing right here. See that? So that is the right location. This is where they were found. And they were found by hunters. And it's just, it's just another one of these sad cases. And law enforcement has been kept very quiet about it since the beginning. They haven't given out any information. They said that the only person that would know what happened would be the killer, and they want to keep it that way. And that's very similar to what was said in the Delphi case. Abby and Libby were found right next to each other. In this case, they're found right next to each other. Now, I have always thought that it's possible in the Abby and Libby case that they were moved across the creek after they were killed. That's where he put them, the killer. So that's a theory that I've had. I'm not married to the theory. I just think that that's something that was possible, and I said that early on, that they were maybe killed in this little corner area down from a private drive, and then after that they were moved across the creek to kind of confuse law enforcement and so forth. And it worked in a sense, because nobody found them the first night, and then they found them the next day around noon. Well, that's really all I was going to talk about on this video, was the locations of different aspects of this case, where they were seen and where they were found, and hopefully this helped in that. Now, I'll probably do another video soon going over the details and sort of the investigative process and some of the similarities between the Abby and Libby case and this one. And I'll give you one last view from a distance. You can get a feel for it. This is Evanston right here, and 25 miles away. They were found right there. This is where their bike was found. It seems like they probably laid their bike down. They were probably enticed by an individual. And maybe we can go over really quickly the profile of the killer that they put out. They said the offender is familiar with both Myers Lake, Angels Park in Evanston, and Seven Bridges Wildlife Area in Bremer County. The suspect chose Seven Bridges because he or she was familiar with the area and knew it was secluded. The offender blends in with and may be part of the Evansdale, Bremer, and surrounding communities. The suspect likely used quiet coercion to gain the girl's compliance into leaving Myers Lake using a ruse or threats of violence, and that other possible characteristics include the suspect may have been experiencing stress related to legal troubles, spousal problems, employment difficulties, financial strain, or mental health issues in July 2012. I'm wondering why legal troubles would make somebody do this. I don't really understand that being put into the profile, but apparently it's all based on interviewing other people that have committed these types of crimes. The suspect may avoid discussing the case or showing interest in the matter, but is likely following developments in the media. The offender may have attempted to abduct children or adults in the past. Following the disappearance, the suspect may have altered his or her physical appearance, such as changing hairstyle and facial hair. The offender's vehicle may also have been altered with a new paint job or reupholstery. And see, that some of that stuff right there is similar to the Delphi case. I remember the FBI person who spoke at the press conference said, they mentioned maybe possibly changing the hair color, etc. So there you have it. I'm going to do a different video on this in the future that will go over the investigation and where they have gone over the years, and just put this out again to try to get more exposure to it, because this is one of those cases that seems like it should be solved at this point. The Delphi one even has a picture of the person and their voice, and they still haven't caught that individual. So hopefully just by putting this out, we'll get more information out, and maybe somebody will recognize something. Who knows? Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell. Now, also, if you could like the video, that would be great. Recently, as I've said in other videos, I realized that YouTube actually cares about that. And share it. Share it with other people that want to know the exact locations in the Elizabeth and Lyric case. So, until next time, everybody, be safe out there.